right, guys, I have tried so many different angles to get the perfect shot. I'm out here on location at my apartment complex's pool. I just thought it was such a beautiful spring day, so sunny, and the waterfalls in the back, and I hope that the microphone will pick up enough of my voice so that that doesn't drown me out. So I just wanted to get started for today's update on my calm habit of the month. So first, I should update you all about how the habits from my last calm video went. I have to confess, I did not go buy a book of poetry. You guys, I just don't think poetry is going to happen for me this year. I think that I just have to accept the fact that I'm just not interested in pursuing that habit at this time. And I've made peace with that. I appreciate poetry. I think it is an incredible art form, but for whatever reason, I just am not motivated to go pick up a book so that I can read it frequently throughout the week. So maybe some other time. I think a lot of times you just kind of have to understand what you're feeling, what's working for you. That changes over time when it comes to habits, goals, things like that. You just have to allow yourself to be a little flexible. I will say my sleep hasn't gotten worse, so I think that's good. I did definitely try to just drink some chamomile tea before going to sleep. Probably didn't do a great job about the digital, shutting down things digitally, but I was more mindful of it, and I think that's a step in the right direction. And I want to emphasize here, we're not seeking perfection when it comes to trying to incorporate these calm habits. It's really about being more mindful of ways in which we can promote calmness in our lives. And so I don't want us me to beat myself up over not sticking stringently to these habits, because it really is just a way for me to become, like I said, more mindful of it, and for me to share those tips with you guys, because maybe it works better for you in your life right now. So this vlog is all about finding a better way, and that doesn't mean we're going to do that better way thing every day. It just means that we're aware of it and we're going to try to keep it in mind. So that being said, I wanted to share this next 21 days or so habit. So this comes from the section of the book that is all about nature, which is why I am here in nature today. It's finally spring, officially. I know that we all just have been waiting all winter for spring to come, and so it's exciting when it's finally here. So I'm going to read a little bit about what this book says about spending time in nature. It says that spending time in nature is a shortcut to serenity. Spending time in nature is a shortcut to serenity. This is the truth we intuitively understand. Walking underneath the canopy of a forest as you take a gentle rhythmic sound of rain on leaves overhead, scaling the hills around a beautiful lake with the cleansing burn of fresh air in your lungs, or sitting with your gaze fixed on the point where the sea meets the sky. These are routes to instant calm. For Aristotle, the world was divided into nature and artifice, by which he meant human intervention. Subsequent philosophers questioned this division, but it still has a common sense appeal. Modern life is both enabled by and cluttered with artifice. Human interventions insulate us from the natural world. They keep us warm and well-fed in winter and help us cheat time and multitask. All of this is wonderful, of course, but it means that we're living at a more of a remove from nature than ever before. So how do we remedy that? Here are a couple of tips that I'm personally going to choose to do over these next 21 days to try and close that chasm between human intervention, man-made things, technology, being indoors, things like that, and nature. Here is one thing that I already do that I'm going to keep doing. Walking barefoot. I feel like a lot of people who knew me when I was younger noticed this about me. Anytime I was in a room, especially in an area of comfort like a young adult's devotional or something like that, or a friend's game night, I would always take my shoes off. I always hoped that I had a fresh pedicure on, but that wasn't always the case. It was just such a habit. I think because I truly felt free to be comfortable, when I was given permission in someone else's house, but especially in my own house, I just always take my shoes off. So let's see what they have to say about that. Take your shoes off. Wiggle your toes. Free your feet. Those conveyors of your body, so often neglected and imprisoned in socks and heavy shoes. Yes. Feel the soles of your feet come alive. Ideally, go barefoot somewhere you can feel grass, earth, or sand underfoot. Barefoot running and walking enthusiasts wax lyrical on the sense of freedom and lightness that a shoeless interlude can bring. There's no simpler way to reconnect with the earth or to regain a sense of rootedness. If you can't get outside, be bold and unlace your shoelaces anyway. So in reading this, it reminds me of the tree pose in yoga. You know, you do yoga barefoot. I think that's another reason why I really enjoy yoga. And it is really like you're rooting yourself to the ground or in the floor at the yoga studio. Something about your bare feet touching another surface, it's just very rooting, and that's what the instructor usually says. You know, ground yourself, root yourself, because that's the trunk of your tree, and then you just grow your tree when you find your balance and raise up your arms. It's all very, very poetic. All right, so that's one thing I'll be continuing to do. All right, and the other thing here is to go cloud gazing. I chose like the best day to do this vlog video. It says, stop for a moment and look up. When you're feeling hemmed in by life, a spot of cloud gazing is an unbeatable way to restore serenity. There's a childlike sense of playfulness in the act of cloud gazing. Projecting your own terrestrial shapes, a top hat here, a sleigh there, onto nature's ultimate big screen is a form of hallucinatory doodling, a fail-safe way to throw open your sense of possibility, invite a little whimsy into your day, and regain a perspective on your place in the world. When was the last time you laid back and gazed up at the clouds? What do you see floating by? So I'm going to do that right now. Well, I forgot how to classify clouds, but right now I think what we have is stratus clouds, the ones that are kind of like sheet-like. I'm going to look it up and let you know for sure. So I don't really see any puffy cloud forms right now, but one thing I did like that the paragraph here mentions is that it helps you regain perspective on your place in the world. Kind of like looking out at the ocean, you see something so incredibly vast and you realize just how small you are, not in a way of belittling yourself by any means, but in a way of just putting things into perspective. You might have issues and problems that you think are colossal, but in the big scheme of your entire life and of the entire universe, those problems aren't bigger than you. You know, I don't know. It helps me center myself. So I think that was a good reminder too, not only to pick out shapes of what you might see, but it just helps you to remember there's a whole big world out there, and whatever we're going through that might be a little difficult, this too shall pass. You can kind of secretly escape from it when you just look up and not think about what issues you might have. And it doesn't even have to be to get away from issues, but just to stop and appreciate that I can look up at this beautiful blue sky and just take in a deep breath and move on with my day. It's just, I don't know, it's free. I'm out here free of charge. No one's gonna take the sky away from me. So I encourage you all to appreciate a little bit of nature in these next 21 days as I try to cultivate the calm habits of cloud gazing and walking barefoot. And yes, it's kind of cheating because I do those things anyway, but now I'm sharing it with you so we can do it together. Well, that has been all for today's episode in Finding a Better Way.